After defecting from Cuba in 2013, Yasiel Puig took the baseball world by storm, becoming one of the game's bright future stars in LA with the Dodgers after signing a 7-year, $42 million deal, with many seeing him as a superstar and someone who would take the league by storm for years to come. Although he wasn't quite as good in 2014, Puig was still a really good player, helping the Dodgers win their division again, something he'd do for many years in a row, and although Yasiel never really truly lived up to his expectations, he still became a very reliable and solid player for the Dodgers. In 6 seasons with them, he hit .279 with an .831 OPS. That is really good. Is it MVP and Hall of Fame worthy? No, but Puig was pretty awesome overall, and a fan favorite not just for Dodger fans, but fans around baseball. If there was one guy who absolutely hated Puig, however, it was Madison Bumgarner. I mean, they seemed to hate each other. Puig was always kind of a loose cannon too, but that was partly why we all loved him. With that said, he was kind of always a problem waiting to happen. In April of 2013, just a couple months before making his MLB debut, Puig was arrested and charged with reckless driving and speeding in Chattanooga, Tennessee, when he was caught driving 97 miles an hour on a road that had a 50-mile-an-hour speed limit, with the charges being dismissed after Puig served 12 hours of community service. This was just the start of the off-the-field issues, as it would only get worse. In December of 2013, after his rookie season, Puig was arrested for reckless driving and speeding again, allegedly driving 110 miles an hour on a road with a 70-mile-an-hour speed limit in Naples, Florida, getting put in jail where he would leave after posting bail, with the state of Florida electing to drop the charge in January of 2014 due to there being a lack of evidence. Puig went on to play 6 more seasons without much off-the-field trouble, at least not that we knew about, which I'll get to soon, but Puig was basically known as that good player who could also be a bit of a wacko at times, but we all loved him for it. Before the 2019 season, Puig was traded to the Cincinnati Reds. During his time with the Reds, Puig got into 2 benches clearing incidents, including the second one which featured Puig throwing haymakers on a team he was no longer employed by. Literally. Just a few minutes after it was announced that the Reds traded Puig to Cleveland, pitcher Amir Garrett stormed the Pirates' dugout all by himself, beginning an insane brawl that had Puig going crazy as well. Little did anyone know, but Puig was literally an Indian fighting the Pirates in a Reds uniform. Yes, every word you heard in that chaotic sentence was right. So on to Cleveland he'd go to finish off 2019, and on September 27th of 2019, little did we all know at the time, but Yasiel Puig played his last major league game ever. In July of 2020 during the pandemic, Puig was supposed to sign a contract with the Atlanta Braves, only for the deal to fall through after he tested positive for the virus. By March of 2021, Puig was still unemployed, with the only news coming out about him being an off-the-field issue, as ESPN would report that MLB investigators interviewed a woman who accused Puig of sexual assault in the bathroom of a Lakers game back in October of 2018. Puig denied the accusation made against him, calling it false and malicious, with the woman going on to file a lawsuit. Months later, in October of that same year, in 2021, the lawsuit was settled by Puig, who'd end up settling for $250,000, with Puig's lawyers disclosing to the woman's lawyers that his finances had taken a major hit and would hurt his ability to pay. In documents obtained by the Washington Post, it was revealed that his finances were indeed hit pretty hard, with Puig even saying at one point that he hardly has any money. With that all said, he'd go on to make it clear he wanted to return to the league in 2022. But just 2 months later, more bad news came out. In December of 2021, the Washington Post would report that Puig secretly settled a lawsuit put forth against him by 2 women who claimed he sexually assaulted. The 2 alleged assaults took place in January of 2017, and Puig privately settled it with the both of them that same year, being allowed to play and not having any of it go public. That is until almost 5 years later. Major League Baseball was aware of the allegations in 2017, but it's not really known how exactly they were informed of it, with players being under no obligation to inform the league of any such allegations. MLB privately investigated what happened with both women, going on to take no action against Puig after concluding the investigation. So it didn't really factor into anything since MLB already knew about it, but Puig was now about 2.5 years removed from playing in Major League Baseball, playing in the Mexican League in 2021, with no MLB team showing any interest in signing him, and in December of 2021, Puig would sign a 1-year deal across the world with a KBO team in South Korea. Throughout the 2022 season in South Korea, Puig was really good, But even with the success overseas, it looks like Yasiel Puig is never playing a Major League Baseball game ever again. Not only has he basically been blackballed by the league, but he is now likely headed to prison. It was just recently revealed by the United States Department of Justice that Yasiel Puig pleaded guilty to a federal charge for lying to federal law enforcement officials about bets he placed on sporting events in an illegal gambling operation, agreeing to pay a fine of $55,000. According to the plea agreement filed by Puig, what he did was place bets on sporting events through a third party identified as Agent 1, which worked for an illegal gambling business run by former minor league player Wayne Nix. In June of 2019, Puig was down almost $283,000 to Nix's gambling business. After paying off $200,000 of his losses and regaining access to Nix's controlled betting websites, Puig placed an additional 899 bets on tennis, football, and basketball games from July 4th, 2019 to September 29th, 2019, as the DOJ release did not reference any baseball bets. Back in January, Puig was interviewed by federal investigators, with Puig going on to acknowledge in his plea agreement that he lied to those federal agents who were looking into the business, denying that he had placed any bets through the operation, which he of course did, and text proved as such, with a WhatsApp audio message sent to someone at Nix's company by Puig admitting to lying to federal agents. So with Puig pleading guilty to one count of making false statements, he is now facing up to 5 years in prison. It's sad, as Yasiel Puig used to be one of baseball's brightest players, and someone who was fun to watch. He was not only just really talented, but a fun personality that a lot of fans fell in love with. He may not have ever lived up to the expectations originally put upon him in 2013, but he was still a damn good player. But after multiple sexual assault allegations and being blackballed by the league, it's pretty clear that Puig lying to federal agents and now facing up to 5 years in prison for it is the cherry on top, as it's safe to say that Yasiel Puig has played his last Major League Baseball game.